Over the weekend, my timeline was flooded with all sorts of current things, but the one that stuck out more than any other was really this from Sarah Pochin, who's one of the latest MPs in the revolving door that is Reform MPs. But she made a very sensible point here, and one that she backtracked on slightly. But nonetheless, I thought we would just play the video for you all.
A bit left field, this one, but I think it's creepingly important. Would Reform do anything to look at the representation of the demographics of TV and public advertising? Because we're getting to the point now where adverts don't represent what this country looks like, and actually positive demonisation of white people, just portrayed as criminals or inadequate when they're not portrayed anywhere else. Now, the reason why this is important, we got a case of art imitates life, because we're getting to the point where a number of my friends think that we're being discriminated like in employment markets because white men are seen as useless and whatever and just invisible. And there's one financial institution which coincidentally uses a strikingly similar image of Nigel in their advertising for an incompetent, useless, arrogant white male. I just wondered if that's something Reform would look into.
Okay, Stuart, stay where you are. Sarah, what do you think of what Stuart's saying? What would Reform UK do about it, if anything?
I think Stuart's absolutely right. Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah?
White.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and I feel that your average white person, average white family is like I agree with you, Stuart, not represented anymore in TV.
There are lots of white people on television, Sarah, are there not? There are lots of white people.
Right, I'm not in this to listen to what the Talk TV guy has to say, right? You've heard Sarah's point there, and it was perfectly reasonable.
Yes.
Right, perfectly reasonable. And it's not some new breaking ground either. It's a conversation that we've been very aware of, and we've seen it happening.
It was so reasonable that one of my Pakistani friends pointed out that he's sick and tired of seeing all of the advertisements on the tube in London having absolutely zero British people.
Right.
And this is a point of consensus among the more sober members of minorities in Britain who will say, okay, I think his words were, thank you for trying, but you're trying too hard. And it's ridiculous. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's very conscious.
Oh, yes.
And this isn't the most nefarious part. I would say that the most nefarious part is the way that people are inserted in history. Like, imagine a film in which Malcolm X was white.
Oh, yes. No, this is a thing. That the ads, just like... just the sheer level of minorities in British advertising is just a small part of the overall just tapestry of representation and how skew-whiffed it's gotten in this country. Before I go on with everything, though, I just want to alert those listening to the fact that Stelios and I will be speaking on a webinar this Thursday, so it's free. You can come sign up, and we're going to be discussing Plato's Critique of Democracy. Because if we're going to go back to Stelios' course on ancient Greek virtue ethics, then we need to understand the criticisms of these forms of government from the very beginning.
This is a perennially interesting issue. It's free, sign up, and also ask us course-related questions. And we're going to answer them.
Indeed. So, naturally, Sarah came out and apologised for all of this as well. Although, she did and she didn't, because she says that her comments were poorly phrased, but she didn't actually double down on the point that she was making, which is that a commission study by Channel 4, as part of its mirror on the industry, which we'll get to in a minute, found that black people were featured in more than half of adverts in 2022, up sharply from 37% in 2020 following the Black Lives Matter movement. By contrast, black people make up around 4% of the population in England and Wales, according to the 2021 census. Representation in advertising should reflect the diversity of modern Britain. Look, at the end of the day, she's still coaching it in very multicultural language.
Yeah, that's not a way to end this message. But one thing I want to say is that, number one, advertisement doesn't have to reflect reality, which is what gets me when we listen to people from the other side, from the DI side, that says, well, we need more representation. We don't have enough. Advertisement isn't about reflecting reality. But the other issue that I think is what is at people's minds here is the top-down attempt to enforce this.
Yes.
That's what annoys people most, I think. It's that you regularly see an establishment going woke. Woke means, by definition, embracing the intersectional calculus, which by implication says straight white men are the oppressors and need to have power stripped away from them. So once you take this principle into account and you have the establishment that functions in this way according to such principles, all that they're going to do is attack straight white men
Yes.
and other groups that they consider to be more on the oppressor side in favor of the so-called oppressed side. And it's the sheer attempt to do it in a top-down manner that is what annoys people. And I'll just give you one example. Firas, you may have an issue with it because it's God-related, but there was this movie called Bruce Almighty, where Morgan Freeman was playing God. At the time, I don't remember any person having any problem with it. And actually, Morgan Freeman was really great in the role. No one had anything bad to say about it. No one even noticed it. It sort of just happened because people were aware that they weren't aware that there was such a thing as enforcing all these stereotypes. Not stereotypes, all these ideas, because they are trying to create an image. So that's what I think what is mostly abhorrent about this. And I think it's just really tiring.
Well, this is entirely the point, though, isn't it? It is as much, if not more, about the fact that it's not just about giving the minorities this representation. It's more importantly, it's about taking it away from the native British people.
Yeah.
That matters even more.
Because it forms part... I mean, if you look at any average television show, the number of television shows showing a decent right-wing male stereotype or archetype, non-existent.
No.
Non-existent. No. They did the Vikings show. They had to make every single Christian in that show to be some kind of pervert. Just to be in some ways completely inadequate, borderline evil, over the top evil, etc., etc. And you see that repeated time after time after time, and it's very clearly conscious and deliberate. And it doesn't reflect reality in any way. I mean, I don't mind casting people as villains, obviously, but like a bit of unpredictability would be nice.
Well, it's entirely...
A bit of unpredictability would be nice.
It's entirely predictable.
But it's entirely predictable. And the predictability makes it boring.
Yes. So to the actual documentary that she was referring to here as well, Channel 4's Mirror on the Industry, this is the part where we get to, because all of a sudden, and I'm just gonna leapfrog the entire backlash to what he was saying. Because you know what she was saying. They all said she was racist. They all said that she was talking nonsense. And in many cases, as we had, of course, with Dan Hodges, we quickly got to the, why do you even care about this part of the conversation? We care about it,
because
Dan.
you make everything about it. That's why.
You have said for decades and decades now that representation is the most important thing, right? You have said we want fewer white people in the countryside. We want fewer white people in advertising. We need the royal family to be less white. Everything. Like, there was not one single part of the British national character that could escape, like, Sauron's eye, right? Just a freaking gaze as it just goes, that's too white. We need to do away with this. But one person, Dan, from the other side says, maybe it should be a bit whiter to reflect the fact that we're still actually a majority white country and actually Africans aren't half of the population. Then all of a sudden, good Lord, we can't have that, can we?
No. Let alone the entire population.
Right, let alone the entire population. But we get to the point where, so we have Rak Patel, chief commercial officer at Channel 4, who said, "At Channel 4, we believe deeply in our role as a catalyst for positive social impact. Mirror on the Industry is more than an ad audit. It's our commitment to expose where where advertising still falls short, and to light up a path forward," right? It's not arbitrary.
They've defined positive social impact
Yes.
as more diverse,
As less white.
as less white.
Yes.
If they had defined positive social impact as being pro-family, as being anti-abortion, as being pro-religion, as being pro-love of nation, pro-love of neighbor, fine. But they define social impact as a positive social impact, that is, as a weird combination of diversity and degeneracy. And I don't believe them when they say that they're after positive social impact. I think they hide behind these words, whereas their revealed preference is completely different.
And the thing is as well, when you had the absolute peak of crazy with BLM back in 2020 through to 2022, of course, all of the advertising companies, every institution in Britain bent over backwards because some criminal in Minnesota lost his life, right? We decided that meant we had to transform our entire society. And you got to this point where, because everyone moved in the right direction, because all of the rich and powerful moved in this way, then all of a sudden what would have been, this one particular advertising company, like Morrison's, have decided to make their Christmas advert with a black person or whatever it is. Well, then everyone starts doing it.
Yes.
And so every single advert becomes inescapably just spurting off this message, this continuing. And the thing is as well with this, that like so many of the things when it came to advertising, it would have been, and I don't say this in a way that means I agree with it, but I do mean it to delineate, it would have been one thing to have just simply put more minorities in adverts. But it's another thing entirely to make the actual character of the people who are white in it, just as you were saying, just idiots, just total buffoons.
Accurate price. You probably don't get a ton of safety features. Whoa. That is a lot of cargo space. Might not be enough room for me. Okay, but with mileage this good, there's no way that it has any gap.
Get everything you love at a price you love.
Now, this is just a small one. This is what, in your language, you would simply call a microaggression, right? But when you look at it, thousands upon thousands of ads, right, and they all have this really shrewd coding to them, right? Then you start to have the pattern recognition. Then you start to see what this is all about. And sorry, go on, Firas.
The whole request is really, don't make it predictable. Don't constantly repeat yourselves endlessly and make yourselves extremely predictable. If someone black is good for an advert, for a TV show, for a movie, okay, fine, we don't care. But if the pattern keeps on getting repeated and encroaches into historical replacement, maybe
the
not.
thing is that this side has bit more than they can chew. I mean, the woke.
Yep.
They completely transgressed limits.
Yes.
And what they're doing, the whole reaction, especially, the whole country cares about the viewing preferences of a particular MP when it comes to ads.
Yes.
It actually, instead of actually debating topics that matter more.
Yep.
It shows that the people are not having it.
Yep.
They want to do something about it. And that's what I mean. It's an admission of defeat, because they constantly say, well, why do you care? Yeah, as you said before, they do care because they make it all about race.
Yes.
But when you make everything about race and you demonize a particular race because you're woke, because you accept the intersectional calculus, well, don't expect them to like it. But they did expect people to not notice. That's why they are trying.
I don't think they expected people to not notice. I think they expect people to submit to an endless humiliation ritual.
It just becomes...
So it's not about, it's whether notice or not. It's they don't want the reaction that happens right now.
They don't want the reaction, but the thing, I think the point that we've reached here is that the left is very content to use power decisively to get what it wants. Whereas the correct response should be, Britain is in Europe, Europeans are white, therefore, the overwhelming majority of advertising in Britain
Yes, but
must involve
they
white.
don't have the culture with them.
Well,
They have the illusion.
culture.
They're creating the illusion that they have the culture with them.
Look.
And they want most people to think that they're stronger than they really are.
They have the universities, they have the big corporations, they have the government, they have
I'm
the
talking about the
NGOs,
people.
They have parliament. They don't have the people. They're willing to make them submit. They're willing to break them.
But it gets to the point, right, where it's basically just the new frontier of progressivism.
Yes.
And the reason that, of course, Sarah got so much kickback to this is not because, as an individual, she's any threat, right? Sarah's not going to get into Parliament and suddenly we're just going to find every ad just whitewashed under a reform government, right? That's not what's going to happen. But what you have, like with every avenue with progressivism, like they had a few years ago with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right? They treat every single one of their victories as just permanent ground war.
Yes.
And the idea that they could ever backslide, that actually you could take away federal right to an abortion, or the fact that you could one day perhaps conceive of not just seeing thousands and thousands of random minorities on your screen, right?
Yep.
They hate it. They hate the idea that they could lose ground in anything whatsoever. But as Carl points out here, you can't just let them memory hold the fact that they set the tone of this conversation from the beginning, right? When they say, you've got Lenny Henry, of course, there, you've got question time panels, TV, all of this. Dan, I know you say, why does it matter? It's not that important. But I have spent a long time listening to the voices of minorities, as I was told to do to be a good person. And I've listened, and I agree with them that representation is very important. I've just perhaps come away with a slightly different spin on it that you're not entirely happy with. But it gets totally ridiculous. And I know they all seem arbitrary, but like, when did you ever see someone like who was African wearing a Barber jacket? Just ever?
Well, because there was a point in which the right on social media was sort of advocating
Barber
nationalism.
Yep.
And this is a deliberate reaction from the company to say, we want nothing to do with the vast majority of our customers.
Yes.
And
we'd rather be like Jaguar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the answer should be, okay, well, thank you.
Yes.
You don't want business? Fine.
We've got black professors being interrupted by old white men.
Does anyone have thoughts on the reading from last week?
I'm ordering another round.
You're already on thin ice, Uber Eats. I wouldn't push your luck. What's more, of course... Oh, what were the odds that the people would happen to be in these positions and that this lottery would end up with the black guy just sitting on top of the white man, just like this?
Is that Fat John?
It might well be. He's become a new table in the Chinese restaurant he always goes to. Obviously, I mean, we'll just play this in the background whilst we speak, but Russians just compiled here. The fact that this is just a relentless stream, we've all seen this by now. And again, I just want to stress, 4% of the population, right? 4%. And yet it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And the thing is that, obviously, there has been a noticeable uptick in Africans on the streets since the Boris wave, right? Really, since the Boris wave, it's become kind of a thing where everyone's coming into contact with them now. But still, it's not enough of a presence to really warrant this. And what's more, it doesn't matter if it's...
What a compilation, man.
Right. It doesn't matter if it's 20%. The point is that this is a symptom of something that was not supposed to happen, right? The elites did not have consent to demographically just overthrow us in England like this. We've rebelled against it. We've said no to it ever since it started after World War II. And so when they come along and they say, oh, and don't you want all these minorities to just be put onto your TV screens? No, because we didn't ask for them to be here in the first place, right? Now, I appreciate the fact I'm taking a harder line on this than what Sarah was, but I don't have to appease reform and talk TV hosts, right?
I've been listening to Enoch Powell's interviews from the 1970s with William Buckley. And it's kind of surprising that the quality of liberal discourse, and yes, I would describe Buckley as a liberal, has always been quite low. And there's always been this deliberate intent to miss the point and to absolutely ignore what is being said. And it just doesn't change. And you see it with Dan Hodges' comment here, and you see it with all of the people reacting to Pochin's comments here. And like, guys, look, there is an objective reality, and you guys are the ones transgressing against it. And then when the other side points out that you're transgressing against reality, you shriek and use the word racist, which has got the same value as a Zimbabwean dollar, really. And you insist that somehow you've been offended, when really the side with a legitimate grievance is the side that you're attacking. But they don't want to see it because they're far too ideological and they're far too worshipful of power to actually admit any error on their part. And the more they double down, the bigger the backlash. But what they're doing in terms of just demographic change is insane. I mean, it's just... It has never happened without military conquest.
No.
And even with military conquest, genetically, most people in the Levant are originally from there, rather than Arab. So it's insane that this is tolerated.
But we have to bear in mind as well, Firas, of course, that this is a good thing.
Yes,
this
of
is
course.
happening as well. After all, let's not forget the fact that even though Britain invented modernity and the modern world and just books and books, lists of inventions, and, just gave the world so much, of course, one thing that we did need, and we were sorely lacking, of course, was just minorities coming to Britain to teach us how to be good people.
Yes.
The man in the grey suit is staring at you. Would you report it?
And as it points out here, this is Sadiq Khan using public money. There was a whole campaign. I remember when I was living in London and I'd go to a cinema, there'd always be one of these Mayor of London, like, safety ads in the cinema before it started. Every single time, the racial coding was always bad white man, and thank God all the minorities came along to shame him, teach him how to be a good person. Because as we know from the crime statistics and everything else, that's exactly what happens in Britain today. There wasn't an entire rape gang scandal that is still ongoing and was hidden up explicitly because of its race or anything of the kind. And so we obviously have that. And then what's more, as I say, it just doesn't match the reality. Now, I'm aware, of course, that the image on the right is from America, but it speaks to the exact same thing. And what's more, I'm not letting them backslide on this. They've basically said what happens in America or the West generally is one in the same. They did that with BLM, so I'm doing it here. Because even though we obviously have a photo of this, there are countless cases across London where something similar has happened. And so it's absolutely disgusting because this is truly the reality.
And bear in mind that this is just 2 months distance, because Irina Zarutska was murdered on the 22nd of August, and the mainstream media said nothing about it for 2 to 3 weeks, where X blew it up, and then they had to make an announcement about it.
Yes. Yep. And then what's more, as Carl points out here, just don't let up on this issue, because Sarah's accidentally scratched the surface, and now they're acting as if they're mortally wounded because they can't win on this, and yet it's essential to their worldview. If they can't replace us on TV, they can't do it in real life. And what's more as well, as it says, 45% of UK TV viewers believe ethnic minorities are overrepresented on television. But what's more as well, of course, let's not forget that the average person thinks that there are just more minorities in the United Kingdom than there actually are. And ads are a very powerful way of feeding into this perception, right, of making you feel like you are constantly on the back foot. It both demoralizes, it also, obviously, as you see, they're always generally racially coded, whether it's from a car advert with the wimpy white man, or whether it's to more nefarious and sinister things such as crime and its prevalence in London. And so when Harry Eccles points out here, Reform have officially defended Sarah Potchin's comments, meaning that they will now have their first official policy that there are too many non-white people on TV. Yes, Chad, you forgot the Chad face, Harry. That's exactly what it means.
I'll keep going. Reform
like
Party
how
are
he-
officially and clearly a deeply racist far-right party.
Yes.
Look, wait till you see what comes if Reform fails.
Well, I mean, this is the thing as well. You can say this, Harry, but my God, you should be on your knees thanking Farage for holding back what's on the other side, I tell you. Because, and I'll just round off, because we're short on time, with Morgoth's point, which is just that we've had it all for this like this for a long time now. TV programs are too white, the countryside's too right, the government is too white, the north is hideously white, the army, police, fire brigade is too white. Why are there so many black people in ads? Why? How dare you see race? Well, you've made us see it. You're the ones who shoved it in our face.
Do you remember the Hamza Yusuf in Scotland?
Oh, yeah.
The politician was constantly talking about, too many white people.
Yes.
White, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that going around as well. Obviously, Wes Streeting was entirely indifferent to it.
I mean, you think, what I don't get is that, why do you want to be someone like Wes Streeting? I mean, even Wes Streeting, was it his life's dream to become someone who is looking at each other, in fear? As if, they're going to slap him or something if he doesn't say the words.
When
that's not a noble way to be.
But when you see him as a bug man, you understand. When you see him,
I
as
haven't
a bug
had
man who's only interested in pursuing power, and who's only interested in sort of having his picture hung up in some ministry because he was the minister of this or minister of that. That's all they are. These are not real people. Don't expect nobility from them. These are sort of avatars for other interests. That's all they are.
Yeah. And so all these people, the minorities who are just like on the Corbyn side of things, who are like, oh, it's the billionaires. It's like, look, the billionaires are the reason you're even in my country in the first place. Yeah, exactly. And they're also the reason why you're literally everywhere. Everywhere I turn, I see your faces just on the ads, right? So maybe you should be a little bit more grateful to those billionaires you're trying to tear down. I, on the other hand, am a little naffed off with them. Anyway, we'll end it there for the sake of time.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.